Lady Gaga gets rejected from her own concert. Security guard's career ended in seconds. Jenny Martinez massaged her temples as she stared at her phone screen, reading the text from her babysitter for the 5th time. Tommy threw up again. His fever's at 10 IDRDN. Should I take him to urgent care? Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, that familiar mom guilt creeping in. She couldn't leave work, not today. Madison Square Garden was sold out for Lady Gaga's show, and security was already understaffed. Give him the medicine in the cabinet. Call me if it goes above 102, she typed back, hating every word. Everything okay? Rick, her fellow security guard, peered over her shoulder. Jenny shoved the phone into her pocket. Yeah, just Tommy being sick again. 3rd time this month. Kids, man. Rick shook his head. At least the overtime from tonight will help with the medical bills. The VIP entrance of Madison Square Garden buzzed with early arrivals, rich folks who'd paid extra for the pre-show meet and greet. Jenny straightened her uniform and tried to focus. 6 hours into her shift, her back was already killing her from standing on the concrete floor. ID and ticket, she repeated for what felt like the 100th time, scanning everything twice. These VIP passes were expensive. Counterfeits were getting better every year. Jenny, her supervisor's voice crackled through her earpiece. We've got some issue with the metal detectors at the main entrance. Rick, I need you there. Rick gave her a sympathetic look. You good here alone? Been doing this 15 years? Jenny managed a tired smile. Go. As Rick walked away, a group of giggling teenagers approached, all wearing Lady Gaga merchandise. Oh my God, I can't believe we're actually going to meet her, one squealed, practically vibrating with excitement. Jenny checked their passes, all legitimate. Through the metal detector, please. No photos during the meet and greet unless specifically authorized. Her phone buzzed again. The babysitter. He's asking for you. Jenny's chest tightened. Tommy was only 6. When he was sick, he wanted his mama, not some college student who watched him for minimum wage. But what choice did she have? Single mom, rent due next week, and Tommy's antibiotics weren't going to pay for themselves. A commotion at the main entrance caught her attention. Through the glass doors, she could see Rick dealing with some drunk guys trying to push their way in. Standard stuff for a big concert night. Her earpiece crackled again. Jenny, how's the VIP line looking? Steady but manageable, she reported. About 30 people in line now. Good. We're hearing some chatter about people trying to sneak in through the VIP entrance. Keep your eyes sharp. Copy that. The next hour passed in a blur of IDs, tickets, and entitled complaints. Yes, everyone had to go through the metal detector, even if their shoes were Louboutins. No, she couldn't make an exception just because someone claimed to know the producer's cousin. But I'm an influencer. A young woman in a sparkly dress protested when Jenny rejected her obviously fake pass. I have like 50,000 followers. That's wonderful, Jenny said flatly. You still need a valid ticket. Her back was really starting to spasm now. She shifted her weight, trying to find some relief. The medicine cabinet at home had some muscle relaxers left over from when she threw out her back last year, but she couldn't take those during work, not when she needed to stay sharp. The VIP line had finally died down when she noticed someone approaching from the street, not the usual direction for VIPs, who typically arrived by car at the designated drop-off point. A woman in an oversized black hoodie and sunglasses, walking with her head down. Jenny's security training kicked in. Suspicious behavior, concealed face, approaching from an unexpected angle. She positioned herself more firmly in front of the entrance. The woman was talking on her phone. Yeah, I just needed some air. No, don't worry, I'll be back in time. My phone's about to die. I'll see you inside. She ended the call and walked straight toward the VIP entrance like she owned the place. ID and ticket, please, Jenny said firmly, using her body to block the doorway. The woman paused, seeming surprised at being stopped. Oh, I don't have them with me, but it's fine. I'm supposed to be here. Jenny had heard every variation of this line. No ID and ticket, no entry. You'll need to go to the main box office. You don't understand, the woman said, pushing her sunglasses up slightly. I'm Lady Gaga. This is my concert. The claim hit Jenny like a bad joke. 20 times a year, minimum, someone tried the "Don't you know who I am?" routine. Last month it was 3 different Taylor Swifts. Before that, 2 Justin Biebers and a Drake. Ma'am, I need valid identification and a ticket, or you'll have to step aside. There are people waiting. The woman glanced behind her, but the VIP line had cleared. It was just the 2 of them. Listen, she said, lowering her voice. I snuck out for coffee. My phone's dead, and I left my ID in my dressing room. I know how this looks. If you're Lady Gaga, Jenny interrupted, her patience wearing thin. Where's your security team? Your manager? Anyone from the venue staff? The woman, who Jenny had to admit did bear a striking resemblance to Lady Gaga now that she looked closer, ran a hand through her platinum blonde hair in frustration. I ditched them, okay? Sometimes I just need 5 minutes of being normal, of not having 10 people watching my every move. Please, I have to get inside. The show starts soon. Jenny's phone buzzed again. Probably the babysitter. Probably Tommy's fever getting worse. She thought about her son, lying in bed asking for his mama, while she stood here arguing with yet another person trying to scam their way in. Step aside, or I'll have to call for backup, Jenny said, her voice hardened. That's when the first fan spotted them. Oh my God. A teenage girl stopped dead in her tracks, phone already raised. That's Lady Gaga. The woman in the hoodie tensed visibly. Please, don't. Too late. The girl was already live on Instagram, her voice rising with excitement. Guys, you won't believe this. Lady Gaga is getting stopped by security at her own concert. Jenny felt a headache building behind her eyes. Miss, please step back. But it's really her. The girl was practically bouncing now. Look at her face. That's literally Lady Gaga. More phones were appearing. 3 more fans had materialized, then 5, then 10. Jenny's pulse quickened. This was exactly the kind of situation they'd been trained to prevent crowds gathering in unauthorized areas, blocking emergency exits. If everyone could please move to the main entrance, Jenny started, but her voice was drowned out by growing exclamation. Why aren't they letting her in? This is crazy. Someone call her team. The woman in the hoodie, who Jenny had to admit was looking more and more like Lady Gaga with each passing second, tried to shield her face from the camera. I really need to get inside, she pleaded with Jenny, her voice carrying a note of genuine desperation now. The show starts in 20 minutes. There are 20,000 people waiting. Jenny's earpiece crackled. Jenny, we're seeing something on social media about a disturbance at the VIP entrance. Status report? She pressed her finger to her ear. Dealing with an unauthorized entry attempt. Situation under control, but could use backup. The woman overheard this and let out a frustrated groan. Call Bobby Thompson. He's the venue manager. Or Michael Santos, my tour manager. They'll verify who I am. A new wave of fans arrived, phones held high. The crowd was getting bigger, more agitated. Jenny's training kicked in. Maintain calm, establish control, don't escalate. Everyone needs to step back right now, she announced in her firmest voice. This is a security area. Her phone buzzed again in her pocket. Tommy, the babysitter, her sick little boy who needed his mother. And here she was, possibly about to lose her job over what was either the biggest mistake of her career or the best call she'd ever made. The woman pulled down her hood completely now, platinum blonde hair falling around her shoulders. The crowd gasped. Even Jenny felt her certainty waver. The bone structure, the distinctive nose, the way she carried herself, it was all there. Look, the woman said, her voice softer now, almost pleading. I know you're doing your job. I respect that. But I am Lady Gaga, and in about 15 minutes, I need to be on that stage. Please. For a split second, Jenny's resolve faltered. But 15 years of experience had taught her one thing. The moment you start making exceptions is the moment everything falls apart. If you're Lady Gaga, Jenny said, keeping her voice steady, then you understand better than anyone why we can't make exceptions. One ID, one ticket. That's the rule. The crowd's murmuring grew louder. Phones kept recording. Somewhere in the distance, Jenny heard running footsteps. That's when her earpiece exploded with Bobby Thompson's panicked voice. "Jenny, whatever you're doing, stop right now. That." Lady Gaga felt her carefully constructed world crumbling. 15 minutes until showtime, and she was standing outside Madison Square Garden like some wannabe trying to sneak in. The irony wasn't lost on her. "Miss, step back from the entrance," the security guard, Jenny, according to her name tag, repeated for what felt like the 100th time. Gaga's hands were shaking, not from anger, but from something deeper, more primal: fear. The same fear she'd felt in her early days, when one missed opportunity could end a career before it began. "Can I at least use your phone?" Gaga asked, her voice smaller than she'd intended. "Mine's dead, and I need to call my team." Jenny's face remained impassive. "We're not allowed to lend personal phones to anyone trying to enter without proper identification." The growing crowd of onlookers pressed closer, their phones recording every second of her humiliation. Gaga could already see the headlines. "Lady Gaga can't get into her own show." Years of building her reputation, of proving herself again and again, and now this? A teenage girl in the crowd shouted, "Jenny, come on, look at her. That's literally Lady Gaga." "Everyone, please stay back." Jenny's voice carried the weight of authority, but Gaga could see the uncertainty in her eyes. The guard was doing her job, doing it well, even, but the situation was spiraling beyond anyone's control. Gaga closed her eyes, trying to center herself. 20,000 people had paid to see her tonight. 20,000 dreams, hopes, expectations. People who'd saved for months, traveled from other states, other countries. Her little monsters, waiting inside, not knowing their mother monster was trapped outside like a stranger. "Look," Gaga said, fighting to keep her voice steady. "I know this looks bad. I know I screwed up. But there are people in there, my fans, my family really, who've been waiting for this night for months, some of them for years." She felt tears welling up in her eyes. Real ones, not the kind you practice for cameras or music videos. They believe in me. They believe in what we've built together, and I can't. I can't let them down. Not like this. A drop of sweat rolled down Jenny's forehead. The guard's walkie-talkie crackled with static, but she didn't reach for it. "Ma'am," Jenny's voice was professional but strained, "I understand you're upset, but—" "No, you don't understand." The words burst out before Gaga could stop them. "You don't understand what it's like to have 20,000 people counting on you. To know that one mistake, one moment of wanting to feel normal, of wanting 5 minutes without handlers and security and everyone watching your every move, could ruin everything." Her voice cracked on the last word. The crowd had fallen silent, phones still recording, but the mood had shifted. This wasn't entertainment anymore. This was raw, real. A young man in the crowd lowered his phone. "Holy shit," he whispered. "She's really crying." Gaga wiped her eyes, smearing her careful makeup. The mask was slipping, the carefully constructed image of Lady Gaga, the superstar who could handle anything, was crumbling in front of dozens of recording phones. "Please," she whispered, no longer caring about appearances. "Please just let me do my job. Let me be there for them." Jenny's hand moved to her earpiece, then stopped. "If you're really Lady Gaga, why didn't your team come looking for you?" The question hit like a punch to the gut. Because they didn't know where she'd gone. Because sometimes even Lady Gaga needed to escape. Because even after all these years, all the success, sometimes Stefani Germanotta still needed to prove she could do things on her own. "Because," Gaga said, her voice barely audible, "sometimes even monsters need to remember what it's like to be human." The crowd pressed closer. Someone in the back started chanting, "Let her in." Others joined in, the chant growing louder, more insistent. "Let her in! Let her in!" Jenny's face flushed. "Everyone, step back now. This is a security zone." But the chanting continued, phones recording every second. Gaga could feel it all slipping away, the show, the night, everything she'd worked for, all because she'd wanted one moment of normalcy. Her legs felt weak. The weight of it all, the crowd, the waiting audience inside, the years of pressure and expectations, came crashing down at once. She stumbled slightly, catching herself against the wall. "Are you okay?" Jenny asked, professional facade cracking just slightly. "No," Gaga answered honestly. "No, I'm not okay. None of this is okay." She slid down the wall until she was sitting on the ground, not caring about her designer clothes or what the videos would look like tomorrow. The mighty Lady Gaga, sitting on the concrete outside Madison Square Garden, locked out of her own show. The crowd fell silent again, phones lowering one by one. This wasn't the Lady Gaga they knew from TV, from magazines, from carefully curated social media posts. This was something else, something real and vulnerable and heartbreakingly human. 10 minutes until showtime, someone in the crowd announced, checking their ticket. Gaga laughed, a broken, hollow sound that echoed off the building's walls. 10 minutes, 20,000 people, and I'm sitting on the ground outside because I wanted a fucking coffee. Jenny's hand moved to her earpiece again as it crackled with static. But before she could respond, a new voice cut through the tension. "What the hell is going on here?" The crowd parted as Bobby Thompson, the venue manager, came running toward them, his face as white as paper. Behind him, Gaga could see her security team, her manager, her entire world rushing to catch up with the viral moment that was unfolding. But it was too late. The damage was done. The videos were out there. Lady Gaga had broken down outside her own concert, and no amount of damage control could erase what everyone had witnessed. As her team finally reached her, Gaga looked up at Jenny, who stood frozen in place, realization dawning on her face. "Congratulations," Gaga said softly. "You just did what 1,000 paparazzi never could. You made Lady Gaga real." Bobby Thompson was already shouting into his radio. "Code Red, get the backstage clear now. We need a path straight to the dressing room." Gaga's personal security team formed a protective circle around her, but she waved them off. "No," she said, her voice stronger now. "No more hiding." She stood up slowly, legs still shaky. The crowd had grown to nearly 100 people, all watching in stunned silence as one of the biggest pop stars in the world brushed dirt off her designer pants. "Miss Germanata," Jenny started, her voice trembling. "I'm so sorry, I didn't." "Don't, Gaga interrupte." "Don't apologize for doing your job." She turned to face the crowd, makeup streaked with tears, and did something that would later be described as the most authentic moment of her career. She smiled. "Well," she announced, loud enough for all the phones to pick up, "I guess this is what happens when Lady Gaga tries to be Stefani for 5 minutes." Someone in the crowd shouted, "We love you, Gaga." "I love you too," she replied, then turned back to Jenny. "And I respect you, even if right now I kind of want to scream." Michael Santos, her tour manager, was already in damage control mode. "We need to get you to makeup now. We can still make the show time if we—" "No," Gaga said firmly. "No touch-ups. No fixes." She looked at all the phones still recording. "This is me. This is what happens when you try to run from who you are. Sometimes you end up crying on the sidewalk because a very good security guard won't let you break the rules." Jenny stood rigid, looking like she might pass out. Bobby Thompson put a hand on her shoulder. "Jenny, take a break. Go to the break room and—" "Actually," Gaga interrupted, "I'd like her to walk in with me." She held out her hand to the stunned security guard. "Come on. You've seen Lady Gaga at her worst. Might as well see her at her best." The crowd erupted in cheers as Jenny, moving like someone in a dream, took Lady Gaga's hand. Together, they walked through the VIP entrance, past the metal detectors that had caused so much drama, and into the building. Just before they disappeared from the crowd's view, Gaga turned back one last time. "Sometimes," she announced, "you have to get rejected to remember who you really are." The videos were already going viral, but for once, Lady Gaga didn't care about the cameras. She had a show to do, and thanks to one stubborn security guard, she felt more real than she had in years. "Gaga Got Rejected" is now trending #1 worldwide. Sarah from PR announced, her fingers flying over her tablet as she speed-walked through Madison Square Garden's backstage corridors. The original video has hit 2 million views in 8 minutes. Bobby Thompson wiped sweat from his forehead. "This is a disaster. A complete disaster." They were huddled in a small office near the stage, where the sound of 20,000 fans chanting "Gaga, Gaga" vibrated through the walls. The show was now officially 15 minutes delayed. "Pull up the main video," Michael Santos demanded, pacing the room. "We need to get ahead of this." Sarah propped her tablet on the desk. The shaky footage showed Lady Gaga, makeup streaked with tears, sitting on the ground outside Madison Square Garden. The comments section was exploding. "OMG, is this real? Most authentic celeb moment ever. That security guard deserves a raise and a pay cut at the same time. Lady Gaga got humbled, and I'm here for it." Jenny sat in the corner, still in shock, staring at her phone. Her babysitter had sent 5 more messages about Tommy's fever, but she couldn't focus on them. Her hands were shaking too bad to type. "I should just quit," she mumbled. "Save you the trouble of firing me." "Nobody's firing anybody," Bobby snapped, but his voice lacked conviction. He turned to Sarah. "How bad is it really?" Sarah scrolled through her phone. "It's actually not what you'd expect. Look at these comments." This is why we love at Lady Gaga, keeping it real even when she's locked out of her own show. "That security guard is literally just doing her job. Respect." "Can we talk about how Gaga didn't pull the diva card, just sat there and got real? Queen behavior." Michael Santos's phone rang. "It's her management team," he said grimly, stepping out of the room to take the call. The door burst open, and one of the makeup artists rushed in. "She won't let us fix her makeup. Says she's going on stage exactly as she is." "What?" Bobby's face went pale. "She can't the photos, the reviews." "Let her." Everyone turned to look at Jenny, who had finally found her voice. "Let her go on like this," Jenny repeated, stronger now. "Because right now, out there—" She pointed at Sarah's tablet, where new videos were popping up every second. "That's not a scandal. That's Lady Gaga becoming human." Sarah nodded slowly, still scrolling. "Jenny's right. Look at this tweet from @Gaga Daily. From getting rejected at her own show to owning the moment like a queen, this is why Lady Gaga is not just an artist, she's a legend." The makeup artist radio crackled. 5 minutes to stage. Is she getting touched up or not? Bobby looked at the videos spreading across social media like wildfire. Lady Gaga, one of the biggest stars in the world, sitting on concrete because a security guard was just doing her job. No tantrum. No pulling rank. Just raw, unfiltered humanity. He grabbed the radio. "Let her go on as is." Michael Santos burst back into the room, his face flushed. "Ellen just tweeted about it. Jimmy Fallon's team wants her on the show tomorrow. Even Taylor Swift just posted, 'This is what real artistry looks like. No masks, no filters, just truth,' at Lady Gaga showing us all how it's done." The wall of monitors in the office showed the arena. 20,000 fans were on their feet, the energy electric. The delay had only made them more excited. "Mr. Thompson," a stagehand appeared at the door. "She's asking for Jenny." "Me?" Jenny stood up so fast she knocked over her chair. "Why?" "She says she won't go on without talking to you first." The corridors backstage were a maze of cables and equipment, but Jenny barely noticed as she was led to the stage entrance. Lady Gaga stood there, still in her hoodie, makeup still smeared. But somehow, she looked more powerful than any glossy magazine cover. "I need you to understand something," Gaga said when Jenny approached. "What happened out there? That was real, and real is what I want to be tonight." "I'm so sorry," Jenny started, but Gaga held up her hand. "In about 2 minutes, I'm going to tell 20,000 people about what you did. About how you didn't care that I was Lady Gaga. About how you treated me like any other person trying to break the rule." Jenny felt her throat tighten. "They'll hate me." Gaga smiled. A real smile, not a camera-ready one. "No, they're going to learn what I just learned. That sometimes the kindest thing someone can do is treat you like you're nobody special." She pulled off her hoodie, revealing a simple black tank top underneath. "I'm keeping this look. Smeared makeup, street clothes, everything. Because this—" She gestured to her face. "This is what happens when Lady Gaga gets reminded she's human. And I want them all to see it." The stage manager appeared. 30 seconds. Gaga grabbed Jenny's hand. "One more thing. After the show, I want you to tell me about that kid you kept checking your phone for. The one who's sick. Because that's real too." The opening beats of Bad Romance started pumping through the arena. The crowd roared. "How did you know about Jenny started. Because you kept touching your phone the same way I touch mine when my family needs me. Gaga squeezed her hand. Now, watch what happens when Lady Gaga decides to get real. She turned and walked onto the stage, still in her hoodie and jeans, makeup smeared with tears. The crowd's reaction was deafening. Jenny stood in the wings, watching as Lady Gaga grabbed the microphone. 20,000 phones lit up the arena like stars. New York City. Gaga's voice rang out. Let me tell you about the night Lady Gaga got rejected from her own show, and how a security guard named Jenny taught me the most important lesson of my career. Sarah appeared beside Jenny, holding up her tablet. Gaga Got Real was now trending higher than Gaga Got Rejected. The revolution was being televised, tweeted, and TikToked, and it all started because one security guard refused to break the rule. Inside the arena, Lady Gaga's voice cracked as she told the story. So there I was, sitting on the concrete outside, and this amazing woman, Jenny, she didn't care who I was pretending to be. She cared about doing what was right. The crowd was silent now, 20,000 people hanging on every word. You know what celebrity does to you? Gaga continued, pacing the stage in her street clothes. It makes you forget what it's like to hear no. It makes you forget what it's like to be just human. Phones lit up the arena like fireflies as she spoke. Every word was being recorded, shared, retweeted. Backstage, Jenny's phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't the babysitter. Oh my God, she whispered, staring at her screen. Sarah peered over her shoulder. What is it? I'm trending. Jenny the security guard is trending worldwide. The tweets were pouring in. Jenny is all of us, just trying to do her job right. Can we talk about how this security guard didn't back down even when she realized it was really Gaga? Jenny for president to Tucson Og Chuifier. Michael Santos was still fielding calls. Good Morning America wants both of them tomorrow morning. Ellen's offering to fly them out. Even Howard Stern is requesting an interview. On stage, Gaga had started singing Million Reasons, but not the way anyone had ever heard it before. Raw, unpolished, her voice occasionally breaking with emotion. This isn't just going viral, Sarah said, scrolling through her feeds. This is becoming a movement. Look at these hashtags. Keep it real, no filter Gaga, Jenny was right. Bobby Thompson slumped in a chair. I thought this would end my career. Instead, Jenny finished. Lady Gaga just turned getting rejected from her own concert into the most authentic moment of her career. The crowd roared as Gaga finished the song. She grabbed the microphone again, tears still visible on her cheek. You know what the best part is? She asked the arena. Jenny's kid is sick at home right now, but she's still here, doing her job, not making exceptions even for someone like me. That's real. That's what real looks like. 20,000 voices chanted, Jenny, Jenny, Jenny. Sarah's tablet pinged with a new alert. Oh my God. Michelle Obama just tweeted, in a world of exceptions and privileges, sometimes it takes someone like Jenny to remind us what integrity looks like. Thank you for keeping it real. The night was no longer about Lady Gaga getting rejected. It had become something bigger, a moment of raw humanity in a filtered world, all because one security guard decided to treat Lady Gaga like anybody else. And somewhere in the arena, a revolution in authenticity was just beginning. The morning after the concert, Jenny sat in Madison Square Garden's employee break room, staring at her phone in disbelief. Tommy's fever had finally broken around midnight. But that wasn't what kept her scrolling. Look at this one, Rick said, leaning over her shoulder. Jenny the security guard is what we all need right now, someone who treats everyone the same, no matter who they think they are. He grinned. You're famous, girl. I don't want to be famous, Jenny muttered. I just want to keep my job. The break room door opened, and Bobby Thompson walked in, followed by several suits from corporate. Jenny's heart sank. This was it, the moment they'd fire her for causing an international media sensation. Jenny, Bobby said, his face unreadable, we need to talk about last night. She stood up, straightening her uniform. I understand if you need my resignation. One of the suits, a woman with sharp eyes and an expensive blazer, stepped forward. Resignation? Why would we want that? Jenny blinked. Because I caused a scene. I made Lady Gaga cry. I delayed the concert. You did your job, the woman corrected. Exactly as you were trained to do. Do you know what the headline in the New York Times is this morning? She held up her tablet. Security guard's integrity leads to most authentic moment in pop culture history. I don't understand, Jenny said. Bobby grinned. The first time Jenny had ever seen him do that. Corporate's been in meetings all morning. Your actions last night? They've generated more positive PR than any marketing campaign could ever dream of. The woman in the blazer nodded. We're promoting you to head of venue security. With a significant raise, of course. Jenny fell back into her chair. Head of. But I made Lady Gaga cry. Actually, a familiar voice said from the doorway, you made Stefani remember who she is. Everyone turned. Lady Gaga stood there, not in stage makeup or designer clothes, but in simple jeans and a t-shirt, face scrubbed clean. Ma'am, Jenny jumped up again. I'm so sorry about. Stop apologizing, Gaga interrupted, walking into the room. I meant what I said last night. What you did? It wasn't just about following rules. It was about treating everyone, even Lady Gaga, like a person. She turned to the corporate suits. I hope that promotion comes with good health insurance. Her kid was sick last night, but she still stayed at her post. The woman in the blazer made a note on her tablet. We'll make sure of it. How did you know? Jenny asked. About Tommy? Gaga smiled. Because when you were checking your phone, I saw that look in your eyes. The same look I get when I'm on stage but know someone I love needs me. That's why I'm here, actually. She pulled something from her pocket. 2 tickets. Tonight's show. Front row. For you and Tommy. I heard his fever broke. Jenny stared at the tickets. I can't. Yes, you can. Because this time, Gaga grinned, you have proper identification and valid tickets. The room erupted in laughter, even the corporate suits joining in. There's more. Bobby said once the laughter died down. The video of last night? Over 50 million views. Jenny the security guard is still trending. Every major morning show wants to interview you both. Jenny shook her head. I'm not meant for that kind of attention. Neither was I, Gaga said softly. Not really. We all wear masks, Jenny. Mine just happens to be called Lady Gaga. But last night, when you treated me like anybody else, you helped me remember what it feels like to be real. She sat down next to Jenny. You know what the best comments are saying? They're not talking about Lady Gaga having a breakdown. They're talking about 2 women, one a security guard, one a singer, just being human together. The corporate woman cleared her throat. We'd like to launch a new security training program. Based on your approach, Jenny, teaching others to maintain integrity while showing humanity. And I want to help. Gaga added. Together, we can show people that real security isn't just about keeping people out. It's about treating everyone with the same respect, no matter who they are. Jenny looked around the break room, at Rick beaming with pride, at Bobby nodding encouragingly, at the corporate suits actually looking human for once, and at Lady Gaga sitting next to her like they were old friends. Okay, she said finally, but on one condition. Name it. Gaga replied. Tonight at the show, I'm still working security. No special treatment. Gaga threw her head back and laughed. A real laugh, not a stage laugh. Deal. But this time, she pulled out her ID and held it up. I'm keeping this with me. As the room filled with laughter again, Jenny's phone buzzed. A text from the babysitter. Tommy's asking if the video of his mom and Lady Gaga is real. Jenny looked at Gaga, who was already reading the text over her shoulder. Tell him, Gaga said, smiling, that it's the most real thing that's happened in a long time. That night, when Lady Gaga took the stage again, she dedicated the show to the security guard who taught me that sometimes the kindest thing you can do is treat someone like nobody special. And in the front row, a little boy with recently recovered from a fever watched his mom, still in her security uniform, stand guard, treating every single person who came through those doors exactly the same way she treated Lady Gaga. Because sometimes, the biggest moments of redemption come not from changing who you are, but from staying exactly who you've always been. Later that night, after the show ended and the crowds had gone home, Jenny found herself back at her usual post by the VIP entrance. The corridor was quiet now, empty of the chaos from the previous day. "Still on duty?" Lady Gaga's voice echoed from behind her. Jenny turned to see the singer, still in her stage outfit, makeup perfect this time. Always. "Tommy loved the show," Gaga said, leaning against the wall. "I saw him dancing to Bad Romance." "He did," Jenny smiled. "Though he's still mad I wouldn't let him backstage without a pass." Gaga burst out laughing. Like mother, like son. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, both watching the empty hallway where everything had changed just 24 hours ago. "You know," Gaga said finally, "tomorrow's going to be crazy. The interviews, the social media, everyone wanting to know about the security guard who wouldn't let Lady Gaga into her own show." Jenny nodded. "I know, but I'll handle it the same way I handle everything else. With integrity." "With reality," Jenny corrected. "Famous or not, we're all just people trying to do our best." Gaga pulled something from her pocket, a security badge. "The venue asked me to be an honorary security guard for my next show here." She pinned it to her designer jacket. "How do I look?" "Like someone who still needs to show ID to get in," Jenny replied without missing a beat. Their laughter echoed through the empty corridors of Madison Square Garden, where one simple act of treating everyone the same had reminded the world what being real truly means.